Welcome crafters! Today we are making a boho mudcloth inspired throw pillow. This project is even great for beginner sewers too. Don't forget to subscribe for more weekly DIYs. Let's prep the fabric. Make sure to wash and dry the fabric first to prevent it from shrinking after sewing. For a 16 by 16 inch pillow, I cut 4 strips, all 16 inches long. 3 of them are 5 inches wide and the last is 4 inches wide. The extra 1 inch on the 3 strips will create the fringe when we sew and overlap the fabric. The last strip is only 4 inches wide because it doesn't need a fringe. You can adjust how many strips you want or how large you want the fringe to be. For the back side of the pillow, cut 2 pieces of fabric 16 inches long by 12 inches wide so you can fold and sew the cut edge and still overlap the pieces. Time to iron. Start by ironing one long side of your 2 back pieces. Fold and iron in roughly 1/4 inch and then fold over again and iron that all down. Repeat with both of the back sides. This prevents any fraying or loose pieces on the finished pillow. Then iron your fabric strips to get out any wrinkles. Next, pin all the strips together. Place your 5-inch strips down and place the last 4-inch strip on the right. First begin with the 4-inch strip down and overlap a 5-inch strip on top of it. Overlap the fabric 1 inch and pin it down. Repeat with the other strips by overlapping 1 inch and then pinning. If you flip it over, you'll see that the excess fabric will later become the fringe. If you want more or less fringe, just adjust the overlap length. Time to start sewing. Sew the back 2 pieces first, just along where you folded twice and ironed. This will keep the fold down securely. I don't pin this prior to sewing because the ironing holds the folds. Now you will sew along each of the strips, right against the edge of the fabric strip. I like to do 2 straight stitches next to each other down each strip because you are essentially making the fabric fray up to the stitch, so the second stitch helps hold everything down even more securely. Time to fringe. Flip the fabric over so you are working with the 1-inch overlap. Depending on what you have available, your type of fabric, and your preferences, this part may take a little bit of elbow grease. You could throw it in the dryer, or you could use a fine-tooth comb, or you could even use a wire brush. I like to use a wire brush on the corners to get it started, and then I place it in the dryer to finish the fraying. After you've frayed the fabric, this step is optional to give it a little hand-stamped character. I will be making quick yarn stamps using cardboard. Cut your cardboard into little squares and tape 2 of them together with packaging tape. I tape 2 together just to make it easier to hold and to stamp. Then you will get your yarn and wrap it to make a striped pattern, and then just tape the back to secure the yarn in place. You could also wrap the yarn to make a chevron pattern, or just a block pattern, or just a line. Totally up to you and what you'd like on your pillow. Now you'll stamp on the design using fabric paint or a combination of textile medium and acrylic paint. I like to use textile medium because you can add it to any color of acrylic paint to basically make it like a fabric paint. This one is even machine washable after a few days, which is great for something like a pillow. For using textile medium and paint, just mix it in a cup with a 1-to-1 ratio. For stamping, you could push the stamp directly into the paint and then stamp with it, but I am choosing to use a brush to brush the paint onto the yarn. I'm doing it this way because I want to add more paint and less paint in different sections each time I stamp to give a little more character and variance to the finished stamped print. And if you do put too much paint onto your stamp, it is always nice to have a scrap piece of paper to get off the extra paint with before stamping right onto the fabric. With this textile medium, after the paint has dried, it needs to be heat set for about 20 seconds with an iron, so place a scrap fabric over it and then iron over your design in sections. Let's sew the entire pillow together now. Simply place the fabric good sides facing each other and pin it all around. So the fringe front will be face up, and then place the two back pieces on top of it with the iron folds up, not facing the fringe. After it's pinned, simply sew along all four edges. After sewing, trim off any loose threads, and then I like to cut off a little triangle in each of the corners. I find that it helps create a better point when you flip it inside out. To make the corners nice and sharp, I also will use the end of a paintbrush to poke the corners all the way so they're nice and pointy. And then you just put your pillow cover over a pillow insert or over any throw pillow to give it a new look, and you're all done. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you would like written instructions, I will link to my blog below, as well as any items I used in this tutorial too. Keep smiling, keep crafting, and hit the subscribe button.